right. Well, I like to kick things off. Basically, it's like already you're giving me a few ideas on questions I want to talk about. But why don't we start things off with a quick introduction on who you are?
Yep.
But I like to basically do this in a similar fashion. I'm sure you've seen it, like the one pitch sort of take of if you're in an Uber and you're driving, maybe you landed at an airport and you're on your way to some event or the hotel, and the Uber driver's trying to make a little bit of small talk with you, and they go, "Who are you? What do you do?" And then the added thing that I like to kind of add on to this now is, why do you do it? So let's start there.
So it depends on the day what I say, but on a regular day, I tell them I run a technology company. Straight up, simple. If I'm feeling extra animated, I tell them I'm building an empire. And both of those are pretty general statements, but I like that because it allows them to ask their specific questions. I feel like a lot of times we over-explain ourselves, we reveal information we shouldn't. So I like them to kind of lead the discourse. So I say, I run a tech company, or I'm building a tech empire.
Gotcha. And do they ever probe into that? Do they kind of go like, what do you mean tech company?
They do. They go, what type of technology, this and that. I go, I basically help AI. I help people learn AI in a way.
Okay.
So whether that's businesses that want to implement AI, or it's more so individuals that want to learn how to use AI. So any way I can help, I try.
Okay. So, and I saw your background starts obviously in finance.
Yeah.
So is that maybe where your like inclination into what AI is going to disrupt started, or was it I'm bored at my job and now I'm seeing what else is happening in the industry and I need to jump on this?
So it's really interesting you say that, Brock, because it started off as I was doing a bunch of internships. And every internship in finance I do, I get paid well, which is the best part. You're a young kid, you're making good money. You can take everyone out, you can take your girlfriend out. But I was like, okay, the money's there, but I don't like the job. So I'd always say, oh, the next internship, I'm going to find what I do, and I'm going to do that for 20 years and dominate. But it ended up doing internship on internship. I did full time. I was making good money, but I'm like, I don't want to be like anyone around me. And as well, like, the main thing was I don't want to personally do it. I've already impressed my family enough, my friends enough of being the finance guy. I was like, it's not me. I can't be and I truly believe in this. If you are going to do something, you should have a almost delusional belief you can be the top 1%. And if you don't think that, you're really not going to push yourself to the limit. And I knew in finance, I'm a good speaker, but I'm not going to be the hardest worker, especially for another man. Like, I couldn't justify that in my mind. And that stemmed from authority issues I had as a kid. I never, whether it was a gym teacher telling me what to do, or a coach or a teacher saying, oh, you can't do this, I didn't like that. I didn't like how someone had power over me. So working in finance, you have like the craziest micromanagers in the world, and like you're supposed to respect them, this and that. But this isn't me. Like I'm never gonna smile going to work. And not to say like you have to enjoy the way you make money. I know some people make a difference between that, but for the most part, it was like, this isn't me. I'm tired of it. I wake up every morning like, why am I doing this? So the decision to get out was it was almost in the first week of starting full-time work.
Seriously?
Yeah, it was in the first week.
But then, so how long did you go?
I did around 8 months of full-time work, and I realized, because I did so many internships, so a lot of people, they go to university, they might do an internship or two, or might not do anything, and then go full-time. They're like, oh, I'm working now.
Yeah.
I was like a 19-year-old with 2 internships already. I felt like a grown man. Half the time I was like, oh, okay, whatever, it's just life. So full-time started, I was like, oh, it's just another internship, whatever.
That's funny.
It lost its luster quickly. It's nice wearing the suit to work every day, and people ask, oh, what do you do? But then just lost its
luster. Were you on the trade floor, or was it?
I was on the trade floor for my first internship.
Okay.
And then I was on the equity research floor.
Okay,
so
can I guess just quickly? Was it like Rotman Commerce, like university?
No, I actually did financial economics at York.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah.
That's interesting, because most times that's not the way to the trade floor.
No, it's not. Like I joined the student investment fund.
Okay,
and
gotcha.
That's the best thing. Like if anyone's listening to this, they're young finance ed, I'd say like, get in with where the other sharks are, because they're moving, they swim in the same waters and they go in the same direction. Like a lot of people like to do these routes where it's like unlikely. Like if a result is unlikely, it's not to say don't take the risk, but like especially for something like a job or a school or an education, whatever it may be, take the route that's been proven, excel at it, and then differentiate itself later. Whereas
that's a
like
good school of thought.
A lot of people just kind of go into things and they take the 1% or 2% of people. Like it's like anything, right? People say like, oh, business is going to fail. And it's like, that's the whole point because the return is so much higher.
Right. I like that. That's actually a good nugget. Okay, so the interesting thing then, so you made your decision that you were going to jump basically 8 months in. And so was that 2 months ago? Was that like, when did the AI thing, like, did you,
So
yeah, like what?
I'll even give you the timeline. So it was around the last summer at this time.
Okay.
And I'd get warnings like, hey, are you really interested in this? And I had a mentor in senior management. I actually say it in one of the videos. I just walked up to him and said, hey, I'm going to quit. He said, no, don't do that. Like, try it out, this and that. And I was like, okay. But mentally, they call it quiet quitting, I believe. It's a very, very common thing, and a lot of people will do it. But I kind of did that, and then I realized, okay, what am I going to do? Once I left, they still gave me severance because the way I set it up was like I got fired when in reality I left a long time ago. So I got the severance. Obviously, I was getting the same money I was getting. I traveled the world. I had my fun. And then when the severance stopped, I was like, okay, cool. I have my savings. I have some stock money I made in 2020, which was the best year for the stock market. But I said, okay, let me start a business. What's the first business a young man starts? SMMA. I went at that first and I was like, this is a scam. Like, I was dealing with retirement homes, and like the only retirement homes that need their occupancy filled are the really bad ones.
Right.
And like the ones I saw that were giving me business, I read the reviews and it's like, I started feeling morally ambiguous there. I was like, I don't want to put someone's mother or father into this home. So I got out of that. And then there was
SMMA for retirement homes.
Yeah, it's a very specific niche.
That's the wildest niche I think I've heard.
Yeah, because most people so I've realized most of the things in life, like everyone wants to do flashy. Like if they're a car salesman, they want to go for Lamborghini. But you have to realize you have to do things and look where others don't. So some of the richest people I know, they're like cheese producers, like stuff that's not really sexy. Like you wouldn't be like, oh, I want to be a cheese producer when I grow up. But the boring stuff makes the most money because the least people are in it. And once you develop an advantage in it, it's very easy to keep.
That's like that, the car detailing niche and like all that stuff. But yeah.
People, well, the problem is, and Hormozy really drills this in his book, a lot of people get into markets and they just become a commodity in that market.
Right.
Whether that's, they're selling a specific product or a specific service. They have no real differentiation, so they have no pricing power. It's a race to the bottom every time. That's why when like SMMAs and all these newer businesses come out first, their pricing super high because the market has no knowledge of it.
Right.
But when I'm a business owner and 10 SMMAs come to me and give me rates, I'm going to go with the lowest one because they all provide basically the same service.
Right.
But if you make a one-of-one product or one-of-one service, or you have like, let's say any big brand, you have some type of social power, you can charge what you want.
Interesting. So after the SMMA then, we're on to...
Let's say it's December. I found out this little app called ChatGPT.
Okay.
And I was like, this is cool.
You're like right before
I was like, this is world changing. I was like, because I missed out on a lot of hypes. Like I had friends in crypto that are multimillionaires now and still kept it, but they were like there's some very interesting ways to make money in crypto. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
But they were making 10K a video. And I was like, I have a double the IQ of these guys. No offense to them, but I can kill it. And they were buying fake followers and the crypto companies don't even check.
Right.
So it's like, okay, this is weird. But anyways, I didn't want to scam people. That was my main thing. That was my big morality question. So ChatGPT came out. I'm like, okay, cool. This is world changing. No one knows about it. It sounds like a distant item. I'm going to learn about this. I then sent it over to my partner, Kat. And I just, as a thing, hey, take a look at this. I think it's cool. He was still in school. He was wrapping up. And I said, you know what? It'll be cool if you, use this for school projects. I bet they won't even be able to catch you. Little did I know that became a big thing later.
Like 2 months later.
2 months later, everyone is using it. But we started talking, and then I was like, you know what? I did a lifestyle page at the start of the year. I really wanted to be like, I don't know if you know Carlos Harris.
Yeah.
But I was like, yo, his stuff's cool. I'm kind of like him. But I realized lifestyle, the content's kind of died off. The hype of it was about 3-4 years ago.
Yeah.
So I did the lifestyle to get that out. The creative bug that's been kind of like in my body since I was young and I never got to use it. I got that out. Then I said, okay, time to, make a serious plan where like money is an option in the near term. So I started making the videos. I had no intentions of selling guides. I had no intentions. I basically wanted a way to learn new things about AI and then show my proof behind it. So the first videos, if you look at them, they're hilarious. Like I have 2 cameras set up. One of them's kind of like in an off corner with me in the center, like me not even looking at it. And it would take me hours to edit. It'd take me like 8 hours because I would get 2 different clips I'd have to use one voice note, so I had to make sure the voice note matched to the second angle.
Yeah.
It was just a headache. Because I think someone told me, I don't know if it was your video, it may have been someone else, it may have been Devin Joust. He was saying like, oh, it's good to, you know, change the angle or change it. And that's great, but the work I was putting in on those videos, and they were lower quality. And then I remember the first comment was, don't use 2 camera angles. So I stopped immediately. But so I just started making the videos, me and Cash were just like, you know, brainstorming. It's fun. But they picked up really quick. Like, I think, and we made our first 25K followers in 45 days.
Yeah.
And it was a fresh account. The TikTok blew up. I realized the videos where I was just talking about my story, because the weakness in the market was this. You had like the hyper like intelligent guys, the Stanford computer scientists explaining AI on a different level. 1% of the population doesn't even understand it. Then you had like the high school graduates or the guys that were just kind of showing off tools in the bottom half of the market. And then you had a couple of big guys in the middle. Like I know specifically like Mr. Grateful, RP Nixon, who runs Oluna.
Yeah, I love his
Digital
stuff.
Jeff, love his stuff. But I was like, okay, that's my kill list. I have to go after those guys, or at least compete with them, or quality of video and the amount of posting. And I was like, okay, the market's so small. Like to be an elite creator, I didn't want to just be a guy that, oh, this is a cool tool. Because if you become those guys, and I've seen it sadly, they just become the tool.
Yeah.
The second the tools die, they die as well.
Yeah.
If you don't have a persona or story you're telling, it lacks real staying power with people.
This is true.
Yeah, and I think one thing, a very important lesson I've learned, it's people like transparency. People like it when you put your name out, when you put your story out, when you're vulnerable to an extent. And the second they see you don't have that and you're just kind of there, you'll fade in with the trends. But I think people believe in you and follow you for you, you've pretty much won.
Yeah. So you know, I think you're right. I think one thing that definitely stands out is like you could commoditize what you're doing. You're walking a line at the moment for sure. And I think it's obvious to somebody who knows what you're doing, and to other people they're just consuming the content, right? And being like subconscious about it, which is good. That's what you want. The interesting thing I think is like you're not, so like to somebody also not understanding what you're doing, they almost see your page, in my opinion, as someone outside looking in, as like you're just an information repository about AI. So my question is, where are you trying to take the page? Because obviously RP Nixon, this guy's got ulterior motives and is not honest about it really in any way, right?
I have a specific story about that as well.
Okay, let's dive into it.
So I'll answer your first question. So where we're going is, I love being an influencer. I love being a creator, having the power. And I think that's kind of my strength. That's where I can be the top 1%. I'm a good speaker. I'm good at conveying information to people. I'm good at bringing people together through magnetism. But where we want to go with it is different than I think any other influencer. We want to build a startup studio, basically where we create the idea, we validate it through our social media, which is rare. Because usually startup studios, basically they create the idea, then they have to do market research, and then they find an entrepreneur. We're basically validating on social media. The second we validate it, let's say it's a real estate startup idea or real estate software idea, we'll find an entrepreneur that's ran a real estate company before. We give him 60 to 70%, and then we provide him with our support, our promotion, and everything along the way. And we're going to build off portfolio companies like that. And I think a lot of influencers don't have that option because they don't have a formal background. And my background in finance was light, but the connections I've made, the network I've made globally, it's crazy. And everyone wants to get into AI. So they want a tastemaker. And that's where I'd go. That's where the conclusion is. I want to be the Rick Rubin of AI. I don't have any specific AI skills. I'm not a Stanford computer engineer. I want to be paid for my taste. And I think I'm developing that taste. I'm developing what works in AI and what doesn't. Because yes, you can understand it at a PhD level, but most of these basic tools that are going to save businesses millions of dollars, they have to be explained simply, and they have to be combined together. Like anyone can say, oh, anything's wrong in your business, use ChatGPT. Yeah, that's like commonly known. That's like saying Google it if you don't know something. But being able to place together a bunch of tools, which we've been doing in our private consulting, that's the real business. People want to be led into a way where, okay, this is a system I can use. And every business needs a different system, whether it's service, product, whatever it may be.
So what's your funnel then? So you're looking for clients at the moment, basically. So I'm understanding maybe there's 3 different opportunities.
Mhm.
And correct me if I'm wrong, if maybe I'm like not grabbing it fully. But so you have one avenue where you're essentially consulting on people that are looking to simplify their business with the help of AI. You're the subject matter expert, and you develop that system.
Correct. And I'll walk you through that system. So it's all inbound, by the way. We do not do a single bit of outbound. I think
This is one of my questions as well. Like how
Yeah.
much? Yeah.
we, like, a lot of people have pushed us to do outbounds. I just felt like whenever someone's coming to you, they lose power, right? And we built a social media brand. We didn't charge anything for our products. We gave away everything for free, so people come to us. That's why, like, all the brand deals that have came to us, they've always came to us, and we always stay at our rate. We don't negotiate down, and it's more of a principle thing than anything. There's more important things than money. Like, we had a crypto brand come to us and offer us, I think, $4,000, and I could tell it was a scam. I could tell it was a rug pull exchange, and we said no, we're good. Like, we're not going to take money. If I screw over one person, doesn't matter if they give me
Right.
5 million. You know, that's doesn't sit well with me. But in terms of our funnel so I'll actually explain the company in a very basic way. We're a media company first, so the bigger our followers get, the more we get paid for our services and our brand. We're a consulting company, and then once we've kind of built these out and we have a bit of software development going as well, we want to go fully into VC and get venture capital and become a startup studio.
Gotcha.
And in terms of the consulting funnel, it's ultra simple. I think we've just kind of developed it. It's been working really well for us. We do a 15-minute consult, free, to qualify people. If we'd be a good fit, if we can help. That's our main thing. Second, we do a strategy session, which is 1 hour. We kind of go over their entire business, and then we provide them a PDF of like, hey, this is the implementation, this is the tech stack I want you using. And they have the ability to follow up with us. But then usually that leads to us creating a product for them, whether that's a set of automations or chatbots are like, some businesses like could save $50,000 a year without knowing. Some businesses it's blunt, but they could fire 2 of their worst employees, and the chatbot could do more than what they do. Because chatbots have gotten to a point where, Brock, you and I could put everything we know, all of our scripts in, and people DM us on Instagram, they wouldn't tell the difference.
Yeah.
It's and it's not to say like I don't think AI is that advanced, but with enough time and if you just give him all the information, that's the reason ChatGPT is so good. It scoured the internet for 4 years.
Yeah.
They basically haven't missed a thing. But what they can't do is pull up live data, which is the main weakness.
You found cracks on that, haven't you?
I have. So you can use like a lot of things, a lot of the times, like the hacks and everything, they're readily available.
Right.
And they're all legal. Right now, it's the wild west of AI. Yeah, so a lot of these tools right now, the main problem I'm seeing consumers come with is saying, oh, it's not free. Because ChatGPT is free, it's spoiled the world of thinking like, oh, the best thing is free, so all these minor tools and these like supplementary tools should be free. It's not going to be like that for long. When ChatGPT, they've already lost enough money. I think they lose $1 million a year, if I'm not mistaken, $1 million a day, if I'm not mistaken.
It's all about Microsoft now, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, but they just have an equity funding on it.
Oh, okay.
The business is still burning cash, and even with the memberships, they're still losing money. When that fully stops being free and like more enterprises start using it, kind of like a Microsoft Word in a way, in our Office suite, then you'll run into people choosing which apps they like.
Gotcha.
And I think most people just use ChatGPT. But there are a lot of good products that use ChatGPT's API, they use Google Bard's API, and we'll see.
So what's your take then on the Google Bard kind of story?
Well, in Canada, it's almost non-existent unless you use VPN, which I recommend every Canadian to do. It's not illegal. It's a legal loophole, I'd say. But yeah, Bard is okay.
Yeah?
I will say that.
Okay.
One day they might come in and give me an advertisement. So they're not bad. The key advantage is it's live.
Right.
Like if I want to search up the top 10 best sold running shoes. Like I was with my brother Jake Miles. He's a Under Armour sponsored marathon runner. He's a beast.
Cool.
You would never expect him to be one.
Okay.
He's built like a wrestler. He's built like a truck. This guy can run marathons.
It's like a Nick Bear.
The first time, oh, that's his idol. Don't say that. He'll fall in love. But the first time I showed him ChatGPT, that's the first thing he searched up. I said, "What are the top 10 sold running shoes?" ChatGPT can come up with that, and I was like, this is a key weakness.
Yeah.
But Bard can get that.
Okay.
And even I believe it's not big, but Microsoft Edge has a plugin that basically makes ChatGPT have live data.
Okay.
But it's all kind of coming out. They're all forcing. The good thing about Bard is, other than it itself as an app, it's forcing GPT to move. Because if GPT just remains at the top, and right now there's also something interesting happening with Sam Altman. He's kind of trying to become the head officer of AI. Like he's trying to join the government and, being an authority in it. And it's funny because he's really far ahead and now he wants to slow down the progress of all these smaller AIs. So we'll see how that works
makes
out.
sense. That's funny.
That's what GPT wants to remain the biggest. And they want the regular person to know, hey, we're the best.
Right.
And for the most part, they have that.
Yeah. So then, okay, so let's just take this just in stock. So effectively in February is when this kind of expertise started showing up.
Yeah.
And so how quickly were you able to build this knowledge base? Like, I'm going to say, like, even the services that you're offering and the vision for your business, like, this all seems very, very, very quick.
Yeah. So the main thing with us is we knew we had to move with the pace. And in terms of, I think LinkedIn's a great example. They did something called blitzscaling, where it's speed over efficiency. And you're really trying to hit the network. You're really trying to get that network effect going. And we knew, like, it's AI may be a summer, maybe 10 summers, who knows? But if it isn't only a summer, we're going to attack it as soon as possible. And for the most part, in terms of teaching, like my dad's a university professor, but I had, like, let's say grade 9, grade 10 chemistry homework. And I'd come up to him and be like, Dad, can you help me solve this? He'd look at it, he'd be like, no, I don't know. Like, when you go so deep into a subject, you forget the basics.
Yeah.
Whereas the best teacher is someone who's just learned ChatGPT or just learned Midjourney.
That's fair.
Because it's so fresh in their minds and they're explaining to you on such a basic level. That's the best teacher. Whereas someone that's, like, so deep into GPT, they're just kind of, they get into the phase where they can only talk with other people that are deep in it as well.
Yeah.
But for us, the consulting was simple because we saw solutions that had results right away. And it's because AI is in its infancy. It's because, like, it's like when people started using email, I bet 20 years ago, 25 years ago. They're probably scared to use it at first or, like, skeptical, but now it's the only method of communication. Even now, a lot of people do business over IG. That wasn't a real thing 5 years ago, 6 years ago. That wasn't even thought of.
Yeah. Even pre-2020, it was like the DMs were meant for, like, private conversations. Like, it's actually funny too because I'm always monitoring my screen time, and I obviously have, like, 2 bigger Instagram accounts, and I'm just like, why am I spending 2 hours a day on Instagram? But I'm using DMs for business, for personal, for answering people. Like, it's just it's a crazy, stupid amount of time as a communications network. Okay, so then let's kind of rapid fire this because I'm curious from your perspective.
I'll be dead honest, Brock.
Oh yeah, okay. So then your top 3 sort of opportunities. So from an AI expert's, let's say on a 3 to 6 month time span.
3 to 6 months.
What's a prediction for AI change in, let's say, both social media, content creation, as well as broader industry trends?
Yeah, so I'll say this, and it's kind of a double-edged sword. If the AI gets so good and everyone starts using the AI, the people not using the AI will actually have the most differentiated content. I think they will do better. It's using the right AIs to complement the right parts of your work. Right now, people can act like, oh, I wrote an automated script for you. Yeah, that's great. But that's not a video that's going to go crazy. It might go viral, but you're not going to build a following on a robot reading an automated script. A lot of times people like the human elements. And I think there's this theory, the hidden valley theory, whereas humans are really, really uncomfortable with people, even if they look a little bit sick, until they're, like, normally healthy. And that's AI. You can still sense it's a robot, so it's a little off. But in terms of my prediction for the market, if the auto GPTs, I don't know if you've heard of them, they're basically, for the audience, they do everything off of one prompt. So if you can say, I want to make $100 in the stock market, it will literally try its best to do that, and it'll devise a plan. The auto GPTs now are a little rough, and especially for people without coding experience. But the second they're drummed up and made nicer, it might be done. Like, it's
game over.
You're going to have, like, 50 scripts a week. You can do whatever. It'll set up your camera angles for you and everything. It'll give you So the development of auto GPTs is very important. But in terms of the social media sphere, you're going to see a lot more AI influencers. Because in the same way that crypto, nothing happened at first and then everyone got into it, AI does what crypto couldn't.
But just because on that, the AI influencer, like, you're talking about, like, the 3D rendered personalities that develop the personality, or are you talking about people like
I'd even
us?
say both. I'd say any page that talks about AI is going to go crazy.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay. Yeah, fair. Well, I was going to say, though, NFTs.
Yeah.
Like, that's
the thing. So I'm a big time crypto hater and I'm proud of it. So I'll say this.
You didn't have a monkey on your wall?
No. I'm good with the apes, but I realized in terms of like the difference between AI, because a lot of people were telling me at the start, oh, it's a boom, this and that. I said AI solves problems today, and it can only get better. There's no real rug pulls. If an AI costs you $10 a month and it's crap, you just won't buy it again the next month. You lost $10. Whereas people in crypto, they were coming off of the greed of other people, which is the best way. Like if you can teach a man to make $1 million tomorrow rather than $1 million safe in 10 years, he's going to take tomorrow every time. Little does he know he's going to lose 10K tomorrow without knowing. So with crypto, it was always promised, oh, it's going to get better. Coins are going to get more stable. You're going to be able to do regular things. I haven't seen any. I can't lie. I've seen a couple cases, someone buys a car, but it all seems like a gimmick. Whereas AI, it's like every update you get, it's factually better. They've never updated AI and it's been like, oh, we're in trouble now. Like they always try to make it better because they have to. They're just adding more data onto the model.
Yeah.
But the crypto guys will crucify me for this. But it's fine.
This is true. Okay, so the AI. Okay, so one curiosity then that I have is on that 3D AI personality.
Yeah.
So one theory that I had is like they rolled out verification across all of these platforms, and I personally think it's for two reasons. One, obviously, bots, farming, that kind of garbage. That's easy to fix. What I think is the harder part to fix is you're going to have a flood of fake AI people.
Yeah.
And people are going to follow them. And the amount of money that somebody could make by creating 15 of these accounts that are fake people with fake lifestyles that are just engaging pieces of content to watch is absurd as an opportunity. And so they're going to verify to make sure that real people get real opportunity on social media platforms and not these fake AI accounts. That's where I think this is going.
Yeah, I agree.
It's a protection mechanism, and it's actually proactive. So the regular person is not understanding.
Yeah.
Like, why would I get verified? Well, it's because an AI can replicate who you are and steal your lifestyle. Right, in a digital world. Has this entered your kind of like conversation at all? Is this even a concern for you? Because I've talked to a few of my content creator friends, and like this is something we're actively talking about. But it seems very niche outside of those circles.
No, it's really funny that you say that because this week we've had 6 fake accounts. I mean, they're not AI fake accounts, but like we can't even get verified because our profile is only 2 months old.
Yeah.
But in terms of me and Cash had this conversation the other day, this is where the blockchain comes in and verifies it. Right. This is where crypto, I mean, it's not really crypto. I mean, the technology behind crypto gets its moment to be the hero. And I actually have one of my mentors is in Montreal. He basically has tokenized the physical art game. So basically any painting in the world, they want to tokenize it, prove its validity so that fakers can't come in. So the only way to really prove this is the verification is great, but I don't know how tense the platform, I mean, how strict the platforms are on to verify. I don't know who's doing the job. But the blockchain will be necessary at one point, in my opinion, to really settle things and know for sure and have a digital footprint.
Okay. So then if you're not dabbling in the crypto world, what's your connection then with AI and the blockchain?
I just thought it added real value. And in terms of like not knowing crypto, I have people in blockchain technology. I have people that always dealt with it and they said like, this is cool. Like it's a little complicated to explain to an average person. But once you get the gist of it, it's just a security measure. It's basically like 2-step verification on steroids. And the more people can be okay with that, I think the better the world will be overall.
Yeah. So where do you see the crossover with AI then?
If they can, I've never truly thought the crossover. I mean,
if you haven't thought about it, it's okay. My curiosity is if the worlds are going to meld or not in some way.
I think they will because a lot of the guys that have interest in blockchain and crypto also have interest in AI as they naturally should. But I'm noticing like business owners that never even thought about crypto, never thought about the blockchain, never thought about anything. The second you mention AI to them, even I was speaking to my dentist who's getting a cleaning today. She's an old 65, maybe 70-year-old Persian lady. And the second I said, I run a tech company. I literally used the line I used for the Uber. She's like, what do you do? I go, automations, AI. Her eyes blew up. I've never seen it before. It's insane. She's like, let me know this and that. And this is a senior citizen, right? But business owners know the value of it because they know humans make errors. Humans are slow. A human can't work at the same rate as she does, or he or she does in hour 1 as she does in hour 8.
Right.
you know? Whereas AI, it's always right. And there was an open AI study actually that came out on the careers that are going to get taken over by AI. Mathematician, 100% getting taken. Tax preparer, accountants, like things like that, where
Yeah,
it's
lawyers.
like checking things. Even lawyers, yes, but I think a trial lawyer will always be necessary. But
Yeah,
legal
the human
assistance, like
part
the
of it.
briefings and bringing up proof from the past and precedent, it's pretty much done.
Yeah. Well, the precedent. So when I was in school, I was always thinking I was going to be a lawyer.
No way.
Yeah,
Where'd you go to school?
At Waterloo. I did environment and business, so sustainable development. Yeah, I had 2 career paths in my mind. I was like, I'm going to go do environmental law, or I'm going to go, work for Deloitte as a sustainability consultant. Yeah, those are the 2 kind of options in my mind. But without going into my backstory more, the lawyer thing was, I realized I took a statistics class in second year, and a guy I used to sit beside in that lecture was, I became good friends with. Hadn't known each other previously though, and he goes to me, he goes, "What do you want to do?" I go, "Environmental law." He's just like, "Don't do that." I was like, "Why?" And he's like, "Because it's all done already." And I go, "What do you mean?" And he's like, the precedent thing is like, explained it and out, and he goes, "It's basically AI already."
Yeah.
You are a person that enters a machine to prove a point, right? We, over 200 years, basically built a thought process that a machine can quickly look into and evaporate 90% of a field. Like, if anything's going to be moved, right? So he goes, the only reason you get into law is for research. And it's that future thinking component.
Yeah.
And I guess my question then, from your perspective, is where's AI's limitations in future thinking and creativity in the present, and how might the gap be fixed?
Yeah, so that's an interesting question, because a lot of people, especially like in terms of education and schooling, people are like, oh, no one's going to be able to think for themselves. I think in writing, it's gonna disturb the world, because you're gonna have a lot of people that never write an email themselves. There's purely AI, pretty much. But I think that's where speaking, the onus is going to be on people with with oral communication, with visual, physical communication. Those people are going to stand out now, because the people that are purely using AI for all the written stuff, and they're relying on that as a crutch, they're exposing their weakness even more. So in terms of how fast it can go or how dangerous it can get, it's really up to the governments, but it's not I don't know if it's a thing of them banning ChatGPT if it gets too powerful. Technology is that it gets in the hands of people, it grows exponentially, and then you just have to decide. Like, well, you can pull the plug. Like, they tried banning Bitcoin in China, I believe, and they're trying to ban TikTok and stuff. But the second it has a community behind it, I've realized that in 2022 and 2023, it's hard to cancel something that has a lot of people behind it.
Yeah, that's
if
fair.
They already believe in it, people are starting to stray away from that common path of, oh, democracy. You're seeing people go on the extremes, whether it's the left or the right, and I think it's the same with big tech.
Yeah, fair.
Like, people, I think the number one fear is they're afraid of a robot coming out of the computer, beating the hell out of them, kidnapping their family. That's not the real danger. The real danger is, let's say a guy like, let's say governments that are in deep wars with each other's proxy wars. The cybercrime is about to go crazy. The cyber fraud is about to go crazy. And that's what people need to realize. That's the real thing. That's why the governments need to step in. So I heard someone saying, oh, it's our rights. Yeah, 100%. Until an army gets control of it and sends 1 million drones that operate themselves, right? They don't even need to have a man manning them in a station back home. So the government thing always scares me, because I think China's already been using AI, like with the social credit system, and there's a bit of interestingness there.
Yeah. Do you want to dive into that a little bit? What's some nuggets that you want to share?
It's interesting. Like, the facial recognition is so strong there, and we think like, no, we're a democracy. Whenever it's getting that way, and it needs to, because the government does want to, if they can keep tabs on people, they will. And that's not. I think that's the sign of a strong government. They're using their money, but does it kind of infringe on civil liberties? Absolutely. I think that's wrong.
So because obviously I come from the photo video background, and in a previous interview I was with another guest, I was talking about the commoditization of the creative process in a lot of ways. And in my opinion, creativity in its kind of purest sense is an ability to invent new things. Sure, yes, it's like standing on the shoulders of giants and whatever, but if you're a graphic designer working at an agency and the client briefs you and goes, I need XYZ, right? And the graphic designer is going to invent something for you, right? But it's based on first principles. there was this meme going around, and I don't know if you saw it, but it was just like, it was because I think graphic designers are the first thing to go.
Yeah.
Truly, like Canva's already shown how simple it is, right? To like literally commoditize.
Oh, I use it every day. I'm basically a graphic designer myself.
Right. And how many graphic designers is this upset, right? Like I know so many purists, like taught graphic designers that'll be like, this is not a graphic design, right? And like I 1,000% see where they're coming from. The problem is a social media post means zero. And that's where most of the industry, 99% of graphic design being created today is living on social media. You're not designing billboards that require that, right? So I'm just defending their side of the story before I get
100%.
roasted. But the thing is the process of making a photo, making a video, making a piece of graphic for a company. When you write in some prompts, right, and you get rid of that creativity aspect, how certain are you that like a digitally rendered advertisement for that would take the place of like someone putting together a production to film something that's the same advertisement? Do you think there's any value? Like, let's say, I guess where I'm going with this is, let's say a piece of software can exactly replicate a video that a human would make, and that software is prompted versus we're going to go put on a production.
Correct.
Is there value in the human putting on the production ahead of that AI software? Firstly, in your opinion, and second part of it, what extent do you think the AI will be able to create new concepts better than humans, besides simple graphic design?
So I think for concepts, that's where the AI is better. It's limitless. Like when I ask Chat, a lot of people will prompt ChatGPT or they'll type into it and they'll be like, give me a different way of saying it. I write, give me 20 different ways. Because what's the point of me just keep on asking if I can just have it give me a list? So in terms of like creativity options, AI will win every time. But that's the thing. If you use AI as a skeleton, the human touch is still essential. There's a reason why I talk about this with my partner Cash all the time, but we say like 200 years ago, the poets were the most loved in the world because it was a theater. The gladiators were loved 500 years ago. And then let's go back 100 years. Charlie Chaplin, the original movies, then the Marlon Brandos. And as that got more famous, even it turned to television shows in the late 2010s. But now the real poets, the real actors, they're on social media. They're not in the movies anymore. I think the last time I went to the movies was 2 years ago.
Okay.
And even Netflix, it's okay. Netflix, it doesn't really get me like that. But the rappers are big now, and they're big on social media. Like if you're not big on social media, it's kind of it's weird.
Yeah, well, it's about where culture is, right?
Yeah, it's where the culture is, and it's our attention span's going from watching a 3-hour movie, when even before they were reading 10-hour books, every day. Whereas it's getting shorter and shorter, but we are the movie stars of modern times because people can digest this much easier. They have better access to us. They can see our whole discography right away. Whereas, like, if you wanted to watch I love Denzel. Denzel's my favorite actor, but I don't have time to watch 10 Denzel movies in a day.
Yeah.
Whereas I could go on AI Clubhouse to see Sam, boom, see the whole spiel. I hear a story, I see his value, and it's right away. It's quick.
Gotcha.
Given to me.
Gotcha. So, cool. You mentioned AI Clubhouse. So, I want to hear more about this because I guess, like, let's just, for the people, like, explain what it is. And, yeah, let's just start with that.
So the naming behind it is, I was thinking about naming it after myself but I always loved the community feeling. I wanted to, in a way, create a cult-like following. As Robert Greene says, I believe Law 37. But that's what I knew people would be attracted to because people live very docile lives, sadly. And sometimes, they want to look up to people. They want to look up to people like them. They want to work with people like them. So my main thing was create a clubhouse, a place where people can come converse, share ideas, and a lot of my comments would always say, like, why are you sharing this idea? Why are you telling everyone? Why don't you do it yourself? It's like, I'm sharing with the community. So, hey, if they want to come work on it with me or with someone else in the comments, go ahead.
Yeah.
But I really wanted to foster that community feeling. And that's what I initially started off as, because the first 2 members of the clubhouse were me and Cash. Like, we said, oh, this is our clubhouse. Like, it's not just me. It's not just you. It's a place where, like, people learn about AI. It's a place where business owners come and say, hey, I could use this AI in my business. And the fallacy, not the fallacy, the kind of the preface of all of this and all of this project is, I always thought of this one quote. It says, you'll never go broke making other people rich.
Right.
Even if, they might not give you, like, it's not about making someone rich and them giving you $1 million. Like, that's an unrealistic task. But they'll come back and work with you because they appreciate you. You gave it for free, or you gave them free game. You helped them set up a bit of a path. And that's the main thing that makes me happy. Making money is just whatever. I've been doing it since my early 20s. Doesn't impress me. Whereas someone writes me a sweet message, hey, thank you for your kind words. You've actually kind of pushed me to do this in life. That's everything. Because when you grow up with money, like I grew up with richer friends. I go to their house. I'd see the cars. It doesn't really impress you. And you live in Toronto long enough, you see a Lamborghini, it's like, whatever. My friends from out of town come to like, oh my God, this is not... I'm like, who cares? What's the guy do behind it? What's his story? Is he fun? Is he just some fat guy that likes to spend money? That's, to me, was like, all right, cool.
Interesting. Well, it's always funny with those TikToks that are just like, who are you? What do you do? And how much money you make? And it's just like, I'm in construction. And it's like, okay, cool. Like, great.
Or I'm an entrepreneur. It's like, okay, great.
Settle down. Yeah. Okay, so how many members do you have now?
We have around 2,500. So
real.
Yeah, and
I went quick.
In 30 days. We opened up our email list about 30 days ago. We've gotten a lot, but we went through some troubles initially, just seeing what are we going to do with this many people? Because anytime, and I think this is really good for creators to know, I think this is underrated. When you do go viral, make sure your funnels are set up. Make sure everything's set up that you have an offer or you have a way to help people. Because I would have like 40 people, hey, do you have a guide? Hey, do you do consulting? And I was just making the videos. The first 60 days was just growth. That's what I told Cash. I said, we have a strategy. A lot of people like to plan things, but that's just controlling variables that might or might not happen. Better to have a strategy and then change that strategy if it's not working after a month or two. And so I think it's a general business thing too. You don't know what you're doing and you learn as it comes, and no one can give you any advice because they're not running your business. They're not in your niche. And I think you and the Real Coach actually spoke about this on the last podcast. We were discussing, like, should you pay someone that's never gone viral? Absolutely. Like, absolutely not. Anyone can say they're an expert and even show, hey, I grew this guy from 10K to... I think that guy grew himself from 10K to 50K. Maybe you helped with the scripts or the video directing, but even I'm doing some private consulting for some of your favorite AI influencers. Let's just say that. And that was my pitch to them.
There you go.
I said, hey, I think you have a good following. I think you have a good brand. You're a good looking guy, whatever. Buttered them up there. And I said, but the videos aren't performing and it's because of the script. It's because of the video angle. They're like, yo, you're absolutely right. And I help consult them every month now.
I guess off-relating tangent from where I was wanting my next question then. So did you learn these skills? So like one thing that I'm always fascinated about with creators specifically is like how skill stacking works.
Mm-hmm.
So because now you mentioned you had this SMMA for, however amount of time, like, is that where you put together the dots, like email flows, how content needs to look? Or are you just watching while being in the space? Or is it like...
No, yeah. So the SMA was really like underground, no social media page. I was just cold emailing. Like, I didn't even use an email software. I really did it the basically pen and paper route, basically, other than the emails. But when I got into this, so I was not trying to... When I got onto my lifestyle page, Mr. Gatsby, a lot of it was looking at Carlos Harris's designs and other people that did it in the past. But I realized, like, you can't really copy other people. Even if their stuff goes viral, people want one or two things. They want either extremely relatable or, like, so far out relatable that they, like, aspire to have that one day.
Yeah, it's aspiration.
That's why, like, I have a cousin in Dubai, and he'll just post one clip, and it'll go viral because everyone wants to be in Dubai for some reason.
Tony Mahfood? No.
No. I'll tell you about him after. But, yeah, it's just, with the AI content style, I saw what I didn't like in the market. I saw that there wasn't really like a masculine figure to kind of like tell people how to do stuff. A lot of it was like suggesting, hey, you should use... I didn't want to. I wanted to do my own style. I saw a couple of the ways, what's back in style. And I really try to put my, kind of with conviction.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people, they can be great producers. They can be great bankers, whatever career, but they lack conviction. And they'll never be viewed as an expert. They doubt themselves constantly.
That's fair.
And it's a personal thing too, right? It's how much you respect yourself and bit of delusion. Because I remember growing up, kids would say, oh, you're going to be rich. But then people say, oh, stop being so cocky, this and that. Hey, listen, I listen to the advice of few men now, and it's worked much better.
Yeah.
you get told all these things, right? And you can listen to the positive stuff, you can listen to the negative stuff, but at the end of the day, like, it's only your decision. No one wakes up in the morning and goes, oh, I wonder how Brock's doing mentally, or I wonder how much money's in Brock's account. So if they don't pay you, you shouldn't really pay it any mind at the same time.
Fair.
I think it's good to, especially like I'm a big family guy. I'm always big on, making sure the family's good, making sure they're okay. But I did everything for my father, and he understood. I told him, hey, I might not be making as much money right away, and that's not my goal. Because a lot of people go into content creation saying, oh, well, this guy's selling these courses, and they do all these calculations, and they like inflate it in their mind that, oh, I'm going to make the same money. If you think about money, it's in the same way that content's very similar to seduction. If seduction is forced, it's always unsuccessful. You want to do it in a way where people are coming to you asking, hey, can you consult me? Like I had a guy the other day ask me, hey, can you do a phone call? I said, yeah, maybe I'm a little busy. He said, I'll pay you. And I was like, what the hell? This is a real thing. Like people value your time and they respect it when you value your time, right? If you are going to be the best influencer or best whatever in your region, act like it. Be a little cocky. Have a bit of confidence, but go after it and prove it. That's why these videos are great. Because I could say, oh, I'm an influencer, and someone goes on my account, I post maybe once a week, and it's a shitty video. But no, it's every day. It's just showing up. And that's what
consistent.
My friend Jake does the best. He's not extremely talented in any aspect, but he's gotten a lot out of life because he just shows up. It's not even that much. It's basically like most people will eventually have a point where they're going high, then they drop off rapidly. Either the money comes in, the fame comes in, whatever. But it's hunger, and it's hard to develop it. Some people will never have it because they're born into situations, but as we know.
Yeah, that's fair. I was talking to somebody who's a strategist, and he was saying the average lifespan of a content creator used to be 5 years. And when short form video came out, it turned into 6 months. Yeah?
I could see that because it depends a lot of guys, they come into content creation saying, I'm going to be my own boss. And then they get a bit of followers. These brands come in, and then they just become, they're basically social media departments for the brands. And my main thing when leaving my job, because it was an extremely hard decision to leave 6 figures. It's kind of scary, especially when you're used to living like that, and everyone knows you as that guy. You can't cover the bills at the restaurant as much anymore. You got to be a little safer with your money. I knew whatever I built, I want to get paid for the time I put into building it. So one day, if anything happens, I can sell it. I can be far away from the business, but the business is there. So like a following, a actual like department, like a sales department that can function without me. I love that idea. Or some of these guys are like, oh, I'm going to get to 1 million followers. I'm going to charge 10K a brand deal. But you'll do that forever. You're just trading time for money at that point. Whereas you need to build out products. You need to build out a real company that's not just AI Clubhouse. That's not just Brock Wunder. It's a fully functioning thing without you. Because if you step away from your business one day and it doesn't run, you're not running a business. You're just self-employed.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, you can't just keep trading the time.
It's crazy. But like people get tempted by the money. They're like, oh, I'm getting $1,000 a consultant call. I go, that's great. But how are you building the business? How are you like, there's working in the business and working on the business, and people don't differentiate it sometimes.
Yeah. I think that's also because of my side too, with the SMMA side of it. Like people like are it's $3,000 for a live course, and it's like 4 weeks, and it's like, okay, but now what? It's like, so, and I think that's the thing is like, the thing that I've noticed, it really is like the short-term mindset. They're not even thinking about like what comes after the $3,000 coaching call, right?
Yeah.
Because they get those 10 students for $3,000 and then they're off to the races. But what are you going to do the rest of your life? Coach? Like, how does that make sense, right? That's not really anything. And again, it's flavor of the moment, right?
Yeah.
Like if you were going to coach people on how to grow with crypto and make money with crypto, now what, right? It's just, so like the coaching thing to me is like, it's only for as ever long people are interested in it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Right? And it's the same for like swimming or piano lessons, like, right?
No, and that's why I think that's why I said I want to be the Rick Rubin of AI, because this guy's shown the test of time that if you're getting paid for your mind and your taste, you're basically priceless. As the more successes he's had, Aerosmith, Kanye West album, Jay-Z albums, like it's like when you are associated with those names too, you're forever etched.
Right.
He's not just selling a product that someone else can. He's selling something very specific to him that can't be commoditized. It's basically what Hormozy calls a grand slam offer. It's like, there's nothing better. The people get the value out of it, and even if they don't, they get to deal with the person, which is a lot of times people want to pay for access.
Yeah.
They want to be with the boss or the guy that's doing well. They want to associate themselves with that feeling. So yeah, I think the coaching only works if your brand is constantly climbing.
Yeah.
Because then you're charging higher rates for the cohorts, and that's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all a business too. People think like people always want things for free. But most of the best advice I've gotten in life, and most of the rich people I know, they pay for everything.
Right.
They don't come into their friend's business and go, hey, can you give me a discount?
Yeah, because you're my friend.
They pay full price, if not a little more. Like, hey, thanks for doing it. I appreciate you. I want to support your business. And it's crazy. Like some people will, when you're small, they won't support you. And even when you get big, they'll go, oh, did you buy followers? Did you do this? And I go, nice. Like, so.
Well, I get offended because people are like, oh, you bought followers. I'm just like, what planet are you living? Like, do you know how long this has taken?
No,
like it's.
And like they said it, I think I went from, because there's a rapid climb, because 2 videos that were 2 weeks old, and a lot of creators need to keep this in mind. A video does not go viral in a day.
Yeah.
It may get caught on in one day, it might go viral, but typically, like, if you make content with high shelf life, like a lot of my AI videos, that's where I think I'm different than a lot of the crowd. The other crowd, they report on news, which dies out after a week.
Yeah.
Like the Apple, your iSet, done. But your video there isn't going to make much waves after it. Whereas I'm talking about like an AI skill or the basics of using this one app. That's forever, because people are going to discover it in 2-3 years. The shelf life is unlimited. And I've just realized with the buying question and like the ask, I went from like 1 to 25 in 2 weeks. They're like, oh, did you buy? Or like, oh, you bought these, right? I'm like, listen, if I were to buy, I'd buy 1 million.
Yeah,
I'd buy
why would you buy
100K.
25? Yeah.
Like, what? Like, people think it's just such a stupid thing to accuse. But, hey, a lot of people aren't in the game. Even people that are on Instagram every day, you don't know there's struggles, but it's intricacies more than anything. We're blessed to do what we do. We choose to do what we do. We kind of set up our own days, but the intricacies are crazy.
Yeah.
Because
I guess one question then, just because before we maybe move off the topic, was I'm trying to remember what you said that triggered me onto this question. It was related to the AI piece, but I'm curious from your perspective, the 3 most underrated prompts or like use cases of AI, like what you think your audience might be missing.
Mm-hmm.
Even when they come, like let's say they seek out, I think it was your thread of like a useful video and sending it. Like let's say they like, because obviously the platforms focus on interest, so they're trying to feed you things before you realize you need to look it up. So it's like a outbound SEO.
Yeah.
What do you find people coming to you for? And then on that note, like what are the 3 underrated pieces that like they didn't expect to learn like from you?
The the number one observation that stands above all, people think AI is this crazy complicated, and it can be if you make it that way, but it's really simple. Like what I tell most people, even if my mom were to go on ChatGPT and use it, the best prompt ever, and all these guys that are selling prompt guides will hate me for saying this. You just write, ask me any questions necessary, and it literally pulls up what you need to say. So it reverse engineers the prompt for you, and it's like foolproof. Like you're not going to get a better prompt or a better result from it after inputting those in much detail as you can. It's what you put in. Like when they make the AI Clubhouse bot or the Brock Wunder bot, if we put in all of our videos, all of our thoughts, the more we put in, the better the bot's going to be.
Right.
And that's what it relies on. AI, the way it works and what my understanding of ChatGPT, it simply just predicts the next word based on what you wrote it. So it can see the verbs you use, it can see the tone you say and this and that. And it's just predicting out of its word library and its knowledge library, just predicts the next word to say that would fit best in that situation. And it's been cross-tested so many times. That's why it's good. It's not good because, they just put everything in and magically the robot has a brain. No, there's been like billions of tests of this is the right input. And they've manually gone through a lot of them, like the big prompts, like probably the top 20% of big prompts that people commonly ask, they've gone through that manually and made sure it's clean.
What are those top 3, you think?
In terms of the biggest, I'd say anything to do with emails.
Okay.
Because emails are really easy for the bot to kind of understand or for the AI to understand. So any type of formal email too, it kills. Like it can never go wrong. And if you prompt it right, it can never go wrong.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
we wanted these to initially be 60 minutes.
Mhm.
And as you can see, this one will be 60 minutes.
Yeah.
But we ended up, I ended up being like, no, they have to be 90.
Yeah.
Like minimum 90.
Yeah.
And it's only until like the first 30 minutes kind of go by where you get into like
The groove.
Yeah, the groove. And like as you see, like the quality of the questions just kind of go up.
It's a conversational podcast. I was wondering that too. I was like, oh, the guy didn't send me anything. Like, what should I think about? And I had my intern draft up, yo, say all these things. I was like, you know what? I'll just use my brain because I know that the best. I know I can't make that up in the spot.
Yeah.
So it'll sound the most conviction, right? But no, I think that we want to also bring in an AI podcast. I think we haven't really disclosed that to the public yet, but I've realized there's no real dominant AI podcast, and if there is one, it creates kind of an authority in that space, which I think it's great that everyone's making videos behind their desks. But that whole thing of like when someone sees someone behind a podcast, they lose it.
Yeah.
And then they link up with the bigger podcasters. Usually as their podcast gets nicer, they go and see the Patrick Bet-Davids. They go see the Fresh and Fits. Except I never want to be on Fresh and Fits. It's a terrible podcast.
Yeah, you're not.
Yeah.
So
it's good. It's funny, but it's
yeah.
I'd rather be on PBD.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, this is the toxic masculinity conversation, and like, I don't know what to think of it, to be honest. Like, I kind of just listen to everything because that's the nature of like where I'm at in social media. Like, I don't know if it's the luxury. I can't pick sides.
Yeah.
I have to pay attention to like all of it, right?
100%.
Because it doesn't matter who my clients are.
Yeah.
Right? We got a job
it's
to
better
do.
to be yourself and have that opinion and
Yeah.
or not, because people choose sides in life too much in
Yeah,
business and love and everything, and they think, oh, no way this person ever, and life's kind of it's not a black and white thing. It's gray. It's very fluid. Little things happen. You have to make little changes, and if you don't, you get left behind. And it's similar to the kind of the motto in AI. Like, if people are just going to ignore it or say this is bad, you have the right to be offended at anything. I think Ricky Gervais says this perfectly. Like, you don't have to say
quotes,
that's offensive. You can say I'm offended by that. That's fine. But don't be coming in saying that's offensive. That's wrong. Don't say that. No one has the right to do that. For as what I know in this free speech democracy, no one has the right to say that.
Right.
So it is good to get perspectives from all these guys, and I think it's good to have opinions. So I think one thing that differentiates me from the other AI influencers is the way I've been able to grow in 45 days, 60 days. I speak my mind, I declare my enemies, and even I realized in a way, in the comments, I used to respond nicely. I used to be like, oh, yeah, haha, like they roast me. They'd say, oh, this guy wasn't working this job. He's still working his job. His car's trash, this and that. And then I realized the power of hate is great for the algorithm.
Right.
So I started going on their profiles, finding little things that I could poke fun at. I'd never go overboard, but I'd always find a way to be like, oh, this guy's making duck lips in his profile page. Brock, I get 10 comments instead of just 2 when I was being a nice guy. Algorithm loved it. The more comments, the more shares.
Yeah.
It just keeps going. Right?
That's too funny.
In a way, it's a game too. And I think a lot of AI influencers want to play this squeaky clean image. Listen, I grew up, we liked the Joker. We like Tommy Shelby. We didn't like Superman or Clark Kent. None of these guys. We like the villains. And I think society, as it's gone darker, we've grown appreciation. Even the number one superhero is Batman, pretty much. And he's arguably a superhero, arguably just a vigilante. But as the world grew darker, so did our tastes. That's why characters like Trump and Tate that were just, you can say you disagree with them or you're offended by them, but they spoke their minds for the most part, and they took on the role, and they took on kind of an extreme. And I think people are veering more towards the extreme, whether that's politically or just in their regular life. It's enough of the sitting on the fence. I think it's time that people, take control of their own life or take control of their own preferences. Like, it's like a lot of this, it's the Toronto food scene too, not to go too far off.
Let's go.
I have a lot to say about this. I actually asked for a big channel for us to be featured, but they only do chefs.
Okay.
It's like people say, oh, you have to eat in Kensington Market. Oh, you have to eat at this pizza place. Toronto is great, but everything good, once it gets found out, it turns to shit.
Absolutely, yeah. Like
Ossington is an example. That used to be my place. 2017, I was like, oh my God, it's beautiful. The hipsters aren't too much,
Yeah.
And then that went. Batty Alley, I don't even want to talk about it.
The line at that, oh my God. I was
Batty
there a
Alley
couple
sells
weeks
out
ago.
at 4 p.m.
It's nuts. Yeah, that's crazy.
And that was a place no one knew about it for the 2 years. We go and I'm like, yo, this is a gem. Like, I hope TikTok doesn't pick this up the second that it was done. And the quality, and that's the thing with Toronto. Like, a lot of these brands, they start off as these lovely things. And I think it's not just a Toronto thing. In the world, influencers, whatever. People start off hungry. They start off pleasing people, being very nice. And then either they get too busy or they get too high off the success. And they're sitting there like, oh, we don't care. We're making money. Doesn't matter. And I think Dame Dash said it really well. Money is truly the root of all evil, because it's great when you first get it. It buys you opportunities. It buys you healthcare in times. But you get associated with people that's all they care about. They're not even happy even if they have $10 million.
Yeah.
So you're dealing with a whole different demon.
I guess then on my curiosity is how then are you gonna keep how are you gonna keep your hold on your vision for yourself going forward? Like so A, what's next, and how are you gonna make it happen?
That's a very good question. Let me think of that over. We can cut this out too. So in terms of what's next, our strategy is grow by any means. We know as long as our channel is growing, everything is better for us, but we don't want to compromise our quality. That's the main thing. Like, I've been told many suggestions, I've been brought up with many deals, and I go, no, because the second you compromise your brand or you demean it by taking useless ads or taking whatever, changing your content just to copy other people, I don't want to ever devalue my brand, because it's my life. It's what I wear on my sleeve. I'm very big on that. But in terms of its grow out the consulting business, grow out, we're actually going to have a mentorship program as well with another big AI influencer that I help work with. But in terms of that, those are just kind of the initial steps, make our ground up cash. And then we want to build ideas. We want to build softwares. We really want to become that as a company, because those are real products that will live past us. Or if we ever have to change ownership or new partners come in, that's something they can be a part of, and it's an easy transition.
Very cool.
Because it's like some people just do this one-off page, or they're like, and then what? When they stop working, the channel does too.
Yeah, it's the gimmick I call it.
We're a very large, big picture of we want to be so good we can be removed from the process and just come in for our thoughts. And the startup studio is the end goal of that. So I initially said, hey, Cash, we want to be a $10 million company by 2 years. Well, we brought that down to a year, maybe even 8 months.
Wow.
The way growth comes in and the contracts we're signing, we're just...
Congrats, that's massive.
And it's, you have to reach, right? If you're not reaching, it's no point.
Yeah.
And if we fail, we fail.
Unreal.
The worst thing you can, the saddest thing in life, and Chaz Parliamentary says this in a Bronx Tale, saddest thing in life is wasted talent. And I see it every day. Like good-looking guys that are, just don't give a fuck about themselves. And they can do so much more. And it's a self-respect thing, showing up for yourself. You can show up for the pretty girls. Like, it's like a famous quote too, is outstanding in the rain. And someone asks, why in the rain? Because any bastard can show up in the sun when the sun's shining, right? It's hard when things are against you. It's hard when people don't believe in you. But it's like the greats. And then I know I'm just dropping quotes, so we can probably throw this in whenever.
Yeah.
But they don't hate the good ones. They hate the great ones. That's why they hated Kobe. That's why they hate Novak Djokovic. It's because when you truly push a pinnacle and you push an extreme kind of idea, you're going to get people that love you and you're going to get people that hate, but you won't have anyone in the middle.
Dude, I think that's a good place to land the plane. I think I'm curious for you, like, going to keep our eyes on, like, out of many of the creators I've spoken to, I think you're probably one of the most determined. And personally, I'm excited to see the rocket ship still go up.
I appreciate it.
I think you're early in obviously a trend, but more importantly in a marketplace that's gonna obviously have a pivotal role in industry at some point. So at the moment, it might feel like this like buzzwordy thing.
Yeah,
but I'm excited for you.
And that's Brock. That's the main thing. I always wanted perfect timing in life, and you can't really find it. But for once in my life, I was like, you know what?
Right place, right time.
I don't feel late. That's for sure. Maybe. Someone was telling me, I mentor a few like up and coming influencers, like, yo, am I late? This and that. If you think you're late, you're late. If you don't think you're late, you're not.
Yeah.
Like, I knew guys that made money in crypto in the last year of it being hype, and they made a ton of money. But if it's just for money, it's a different aspect. But if you can come in and really have belief in yourself, you're limitless. You can do an SMMA, you can do whatever business, you can have a coffee shop that's super successful. But how are you going to strategize? Does the market give you the opportunity to strategize?
Well, then if people are looking for maybe some more help from you or just some overall resources, where are some places that they can find you? We're obviously going to drop the links in the comments below as well too. But
so directly through our Instagram, which has our email and our link tree inside of it, you can book our calls, you can book business consults. But we're pretty available now. We used to be more private. You used to have to find us in an intricate way, but we want to open up and expand in a way where people can have access to us. I will warn people, I'm extremely blunt. I'm not here to waste your time. I'm not here to waste mine. So the way our setup is done, you'll get that very
Unreal.
quickly. And it's all honesty. We don't want to fluff up all of our products, and that's why we don't have any guides. Anything we have is free. We don't believe we charge for information. We charge for our thoughts and our implementation. That's our main thing. That's what we're serious about.
Cool. Awesome. Well, I want to appreciate you for coming. I'm excited for this. And yeah, this was a good one. Thank you.
Awesome. Appreciate it, guys.